Mr. President, last weekend witnessed a troubling resurgence of military confrontations between the United States and Iran, even as mediation efforts continued in Doha under the auspices of Qatar to advance the implementation of the 17 June Memorandum of Understanding. The Secretary-General welcomes the joint decision to de-escalate and exercise restraint. This decision offers a measure of hope that dialogue and diplomacy can regain momentum. At the same time, the events of the weekend serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of the current situation and the acute risks of further escalation. Mr. President, while developments surrounding the recent escalation have been widely reported, allow me to provide a concise overview of the facts as we understand them. On 25 June, an Iranian drone struck the Singapore-flagged cargo merchant vessel Ever Lovely as it attempted to transit the Strait of Hormuz. The International Maritime Organization is reviewing the incident. Around the same time, a drone struck the Panama-flagged tanker Kiku near the strait as it transited along a route along the coast of Oman. The United States described these incidents as violations of the Memorandum of Understanding and as threats to freedom of navigation. The International Maritime Organization temporarily paused its evacuation corridor for stranded seafarers and vessels in the region. On 26 June, the United States carried out strikes on Iran's coastal military infrastructure in Hormozgan province, followed by a second wave of strikes the following day. The United States military characterized these actions as a, quote, direct response to continued Iranian aggression against commercial shipping, unquote, adding that Iran had, quote, elected not to, unquote, comply with the agreed ceasefire. The Iranian Foreign Ministry characterized the strikes as a, quote, blatant violation, unquote, of the Memorandum of Understanding, including its ceasefire-related provisions. Overnight into 28 June, Iran said it had targeted United States military infrastructure in the Gulf, launching ballistic missiles and armed drones. According to Iranian statements, targets included Ali al-Salem Air Base in Kuwait and the United States Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Iran warned that further, quote, violations of the ceasefire, unquote, would result in a, quote, complete halt of ongoing diplomatic processes, unquote, while also threatening a, quote, crushing response, unquote, to any additional United States military action. Later on 28 June, the United States conducted further strikes on Iran. The President of the United States warned of additional escalation should Iran fail to comply with the ceasefire, indicating a readiness to intensify military action if necessary. The United States reported no casualties among its personnel and no damage to its installations in Bahrain and Kuwait. The Bahrain Defense Force reported intercepting several Iranian aerial threats. Bahrain's Interior Ministry also reported that a residential building had been damaged. No casualties were reported. This followed an earlier round of Iranian drone strikes on Bahraini territory on 27 June. In Kuwait, authorities reported intercepting 2 ballistic missiles in their airspace on 28 June, following earlier defensive responses to missile and drone threats. Mr. President, the Secretary-General unequivocally condemns all attacks against civilians and civilian infrastructure. Such actions are unacceptable. Residential areas, ports, energy facilities, commercial vessels, and maritime personnel must be protected. The Secretary-General has consistently underscored the importance of upholding navigational rights. Merchant shipping should not be used as a tool of pressure, and the security of international maritime routes must not be compromised. While maritime traffic is below pre-crisis levels, it continues, reflecting efforts to stabilize global supply routes. Every effort must be made to restore flows of oil, gas, fertilizer, and other critical commodities, thereby alleviating pressures on the global economy. We are encouraged by ongoing discussions aimed at strengthening guarantees for safe navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. In this regard, We note that Iran and Oman held talks on 29 June on the implementation of relevant provisions of the Memorandum of Understanding. Mr. President, on 28 June, the United States and Iran agreed to cease attacks on one another. It was further announced that Qatar would host indirect talks between the parties in Doha starting on 30 June on the implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding. These talks are ongoing. The United Nations welcomes the resumption of dialogue between the United States and Iran and encourages both sides to sustain engagement to advance the implementation of the 17 June Memorandum of Understanding. The breadth of the regional diplomatic engagement, including efforts by Qatar, Pakistan, Oman, and others, reflects the gravity of this moment. Continued coordination and constructive dialogue will be essential, both to manage immediate tensions and to lay the groundwork for longer-term confidence-building measures. Each new strike, each new interception, each new maritime incident increases the risk of miscalculation. After months of dangerous escalation, a return to full-scale hostilities would have catastrophic consequences for the peoples of the region, for international peace and security, and for the global economy. We therefore urge all parties to act with maximum restraint, to avoid actions that could undermine the ceasefire or close the door to diplomacy, and to comply fully with their obligations under international law, including the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure and the preservation of freedom of navigation. Sustained political will and continued engagement will be critical to overcoming the current challenges and achieving a mutually acceptable and lasting agreement. At this juncture, the unified support of this Council for Diplomacy is more important than ever. The United Nations remains committed to supporting all efforts to prevent a return to conflict, restore stability, and advance a comprehensive and durable resolution of this conflict. Thank you.